I am live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this week's episode. I barely made it on live or alive today. I am living the homeschooling dream like lots of us women out there, and I'm also going to just show you the reality. So this bit looks okay, right? But then what is going on underneath that is yoga leggings and very sexy bed socks. Thought it was really important to just show you the reality of all of this stuff right now. So I've got a cuppa and I made it on. So before I've even started, I'm going to just take a moment to acknowledge myself and congratulate myself on that. So welcome to this week's episode. My name is Cora Darlington. If you are not at all familiar with me or my work, I am a intuitive coach. I'm a spiritual mentor and guide, and my work is with women mostly who are in the prevention or recovery of some stage of burnout. So that's what I do. For those of you that are not sure, and I'm going to introduce this week's episode, which is you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, and you don't know what you need. Okay, now I guess this is kind of a strong statement, but this is my knowing, or this is my observation for myself and so many of us, is that we are so distracted and influenced by the external world and culture about who we should be, what we should want, and what we should need, that most of us have never actually done the work to even tune down the noise of the world and even look at any of that stuff for ourselves. We've kind of almost just being conditioned. There's a strong conditioning there that's happened right from the get-go, so heavily conditioned actually, and we kind of almost just take on this concept of what our lives should be, and we do it most of the time unquestionably. And it's because so first of all, we get that conditioning right from the get-go, right from when we're little. We receive all of these external messages about this is what success is, or this is what life should be like, or this is what you should want, or this is who you should be. And then we get so busy and distracted with life just in general, because we are doers, we're out doing things all the time, that slowly but surely we become completely and utterly disconnected from ourselves. Okay, now the issue with this, and this is what I witness every single day in my work, and of course this is what I've observed in my own journey as well, is that you get lost and you wake up one day and feel like you're living a life that you did not sign up to. You know, lots of my clients talk about this. I don't actually know what I'm even doing anymore. Like, it just doesn't even feel relevant. So you get a sense of loss. You wake up and you're living a life you did not sign up for, and that makes no sense to you either, let alone a life that supports you and nurtures you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and you see so much out there that is talking about creating a life that you love, but if you don't know who you are, then you don't know what you want. And then if you don't know what you want, then you don't know what you need. So you end up living, as I said before, someone else's version of a perfect life and not your own. It's so easy to just, without realizing it, almost in a robotic state, create lives for ourselves that have got nothing to do with the essence of who we are, and certainly don't support us in any way, right? I see so much of that. A lot of us are what I would call institutionalized. Lots and lots of clients that come to me that have left organizations that they worked for, and they're saying, I needed to leave that organization because it was sucking out my soul. I wasn't able to do anything that I wanted to do. It didn't feel like joy to me. Clocking in, clocking out, whatever, long commutes, whatever it may be, was their reasoning for getting out of an organization, out of a job, to work for themselves. And I've mentioned this before, but within a few months of them moving themselves outside of that framework, they recreate the same thing for themselves at home. So the same bondage that they were feeling in an organization, in a job, is what they're experiencing then, and they recreate for themselves when they're working for themselves. And it is because we are culturally institutionalized. Work looks like this. A productive person looks like this. Success looks like this. Without doing any of the direct work with ourselves to see what we want our landscape to look like, what we want our lives to look like. And so we almost kind of like sleepwalk our way through our lives, right? Okay. So what do you do? I apologize for the many notes. I've literally just been on Google Classroom and 28,000 other things, just trying to gather my thoughts. So you might need to put up with me reading off some notes today. So what do you do about that? So what do you do about that? I can see Hetty saying, yeah, trying to figure out me and what I want from life. Blush to find this. Hi, Hetty. It's nice to see you on the call. I think this is a lot of our experiences, okay, that we just wake up and go, right, I don't ever intentionally remember signing up to this. And the reality of it is you never did intentionally sign up to the majority of your life, like a lot of the time. So what do you do? So you commit to the path of being in relationship with yourself. And you start to live a life that is something I call internally referred, so self-referred. Now, what that means is that you stop looking out there for all the answers and all the information. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people's opinions, all of that stuff. You have to do the work to tune all of that out and become self-referred. Because the one thing that I know for sure, and when I say self-referred, I mean heart and soul referred, like heart and soul referred, getting connected to yourself and really learning to trust your own knowing of what is good and right for you, because there is no better navigational system than the one that is internal to us, is the one that is the intuition, the guidance, and it takes a little while because we're so used to referring out there. I often use the example, parenting. I've got a 10-year-old now, but what I did notice when she was little, and she still does it now, I think this is a natural thing that lots of us do, but really spotting it early on and where it starts, that she would come home from school and show me a drawing that she'd done, a beautiful drawing or whatever it was. Sometimes it's just like hand march, the younger they are. And she would give the drawing to me and she would say, Mummy, what do you think of this? And, for a little while I did what I think all mums do. We love our children. So we see everything that they do is amazing. And I would say to her, honey, that is so amazing. And I'd put it up on the fridge. And then I'd look at all the work that I have done in my life, like years and years and years and years of commitment to my own work that I've done to undo this need for external validation and approval. And I'm looking at, like, how can I apply that to parenthood? So I stopped giving her the immediate feedback or approval or validation that she was looking for, because you could tell that she was looking to me for permission for her to think it was beautiful. So I would give it to her and I would say, well, what do you think of it? And she would say, well, I love it, Mummy. And I would ask her, what bits did you like about it? And she would point them out. And she would get so lost in her own validation and her own approval that she very rarely followed up with asking me what I thought anymore. And I think that's really, really powerful to recognize, is that early on we are taught to look outside. Even our parents, don't do that without checking in with me first. And of course, that's all really well meant. It's not that anybody goes out of your way to mess you up. It is just that we are conditioned right from the start that our own guidance and our own intuition of what is good and right for us is not enough, and we need to go out there and we need to gather more information. We need to ask more people. Okay. And so the journey that I'm talking about right now is all about you learning to live a self-referred life. It is okay to go out there for information. Some of the women in my community who are who are scaling businesses and things like that will come in, and they will, do a little bit of market research, and they will ask, girls, what do you think of this, or what do you think of that? And that is all well and good. But what I understand for is, once you've collected bits of information, that you absolutely come away from that noise and you sit with what you know is good and right for you. So the reason why we end up living lives that we don't recognize, that we didn't sign up for, that don't serve us in any way, is because we are not in relationship with ourselves. Okay, so now is the time to start. In the UK right now, we are in full lockdown. And a lot of what made up living not existing, I really want to discern that. So what made up living and not existing, has actually been removed to a large degree, right? So never has there been a better time to look at this stuff, right? To reclaim your life, to gain some clarity, to figure out what it is, who you are. That's got to be number one, is who the hell am I, right? Because as we move through life, especially as we become parents, really lose connection really quickly with who we are in our essence. We don't even know anymore, okay? So now is the time to really look at this stuff, to reclaim your life, get some clarity, and start making different choices. This is a critical time, in fact, to go inwards. Okay, I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but out there ain't particularly pleasant place to look right now. So life is really encouraging you to literally go inside to find your own answers. Like, you are the answer, you are the permission, you are your own savior, you really, really are. And so this is all about you going into relationship with yourself to figure this stuff out. Okay, so you can start by asking yourself, this is a really powerful question that somebody asked me quite a long time ago now, and I found it really, really powerful. Ask yourself, if I was on an island by myself and there was no one to compare my life with, and no one telling me what I should want, who I should be, what I should need. Okay, so if you take away all the noise and you're an island on your own, you've got no comparison to anybody else, ask yourself, what is success to me? Like, what is it to me? Or what is living a fulfilled life to me? Because it will be very, very different, okay, if you ask yourself in that way. We've been sold a concept of success. We've been sold a concept of, having it all. We've been sold all these concepts, and we adopt them unquestioningly. And they're not connected to us. And so, really asking yourself that as just an opening question is a really good thing. So if I was on an island by myself and I could not compare my life to anybody else's, and I was not listening to any information about, who I should be, what I should want, what I should need, what is success to me? What is my definition of that? What is my definition of living a fulfilled life? Because it's going to be radically different from one person to another if we will just disconnect from our conditioning. Hetty says, living a conscious life rather than existing in autopilot, asleep life is so rare. So few people do the inner work. It's tough if you do. Well, it's tough if you do, and it's tough if you don't. Lots of people are talking about, I was speaking to a friend the other day that was saying, it's like Groundhog Day right now. And I'm thinking, for a lot of people, is Groundhog Day year after year after year after year after year. Now, of course, right now it's much more amplified, right? Because, we really are, in the external manner of speaking, limited. And we do really feel like we're doing the same things all the time. But I got to say it, let's have a sobering look. The things that people are struggling with right now, they were struggling with before. We were on automatic pilot on Groundhog Day before this, way, way before this. This is a really great opportunity to kind of have a look at that and just decide, how it's going to be. And as Hetty says, it's tough to do the work, but at least when you're doing the work, in the excavation of it all, you find yourself. In the excavation of it all, you start to make different choices. And even though it can sometimes feel painful, you also feel more alive than you ever have, versus the dull, numbing way of living that the majority of us have been living. Oh, there we are. Look, and Hattie Kelly says, so true. Dull pain if you live unconsciously. Growing pains if you do the work. Growing pains, but you are alive. A couple of weeks ago, I did a live episode, and I just talked about, falling in love with your humanity. We've been taught that, and I'm digressing a little bit, and I'll go back to the subject in a second, but it is all interconnected. We've been brought into this categorization of feelings. More acceptable is excitement and joy and bliss and, whatever. Less acceptable is grief, is anger, resentment, all of those things. And so we disallow, the full spectrum of what it is to be a human being. But those feelings of pain, grief, all those things, if you can stay with them, they teach you so much about yourself. And even in the most difficult of times that I've been through and still go through, I'm grateful, like authentically grateful for everything that I'm feeling. And I could feel 50 different things in a minute. If we're really being authentically honest, that is what it is to be like a human being. But out there, if you witness somebody authentically feeling how they feel, you would call that bipolar, or we call that some type of mental disorder. Isn't it interesting? But to me, if you watch an advert on TV where there's a starving child and you cry, that is an absolute human allowance. That's an allowance of your human feelings. It is grief to see a child starving, right? But we're so desensitized to it. We often, it doesn't elicit anything. Surely that can't be normal. But yet and then when my little girl comes in and tells me a joke, I'm going to laugh. That means I'm crying and laughing, maybe in a 5-minute. If you looked at that from the outside world, somebody would say I'm mentally unstable. But to me, that is me living a human life and allowing myself to feel everything unapologetically, all of it. And so this thing, this statement that I said, right at the beginning, that does sound brutal. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you need. It's true for the majority of us. And like I said, right now is a really, really good time to look at this stuff. Just ask yourself that question. Okay, so write it down and ask yourself that question nice and in the quiet, and see what comes up for you, because it'll be telling. So last month, most of you know that I launched a brand new masterclass. The feedback has been super incredible. And in this masterclass, I walk you through and talk you through my methodology that has you in relationship with yourself daily. It has you asking critical questions so that you know who you are, what is important to you, and what it is that you uniquely need. Because you are not a robot. You are a unique human being with your own desires and your specific own desires and wants and needs. It's just that over life, we completely disconnect and lose sight of that. Okay, so in that masterclass, I move through all of my methodology. It's a free masterclass. Step by step, I talk you through. So it isn't just talking about this stuff, but it is also giving you the opportunity to take some things to apply into your life that will have you, doing things differently. If we want something different, we have to do things differently. We can know the concept of stuff, but it's only in the action that we start to shape our external world. So I talk you through all of those steps, and there are some really good strategies in that masterclass that you can take away and apply now that will have you, changing your life, really, as long as you apply those things, right? So let me just, I am going to, okay. So I should, hopefully, there we are. I've just posted into the comments box the link for that. Okay. Like I said, the feedback from it has been amazing. If you book, please do your best to come to it though, because when I get a no-show, it means that women that would have liked to have come onto the masterclass then don't get the opportunity. So when you book this space, if you cannot make it, please let me know so that I'm able to tell another woman, because often on these masterclasses, I've got a waiting list of women. Okay, so that would be really helpful as well. So I hope today helped a little. Remember, you are the center of your own world. I know that when I was growing up, my mum used to often say to me, mostly when I was being an obnoxious teenager, that the whole world doesn't revolve around you, my girl. This used to be what she would say. And I've come to know that actually it really does revolve around us. It is our responsibility to be in relationship with ourselves and find out all of these things and to get our lives working for us, right? Because they really can work for us in the most amazing of ways, no matter what is externally going on out there. And that is what I want for me. It's what I want for you. It's what I want for everyone. To be alive and awake in their own lives. So I am going to log off now, and I'm going to take off my dress that's over the top of yoga leggings and bed socks, and I'm going to put my 5,000 jumpers on that I had on just before I went live, and I'm going to drink my cup of tea. So I will see you next week. Thanks, Hetty, and thanks, Kirsten, for coming on and being so interactive. Have a lovely day.